All right, here we are. Math again, page 233. We are talking equations. Looking at numbers 1 through 4 is where we're going to begin. We have three choices: commutative property of addition, associative property of multiplication, and distributive property of multiplication over addition. So, let's talk about commutative property of addition. When you are looking at 1 through 4, which one of those, 1, 2, 3, or 4, to the left there, has only addition in it? Only addition. Nothing else but addition. And then which one looks very similar to this? So check this out on the board. Commutative property of addition. We learned this at the beginning of the year. 1 plus 2 equals 2 plus 1. That's commutative property of addition. They're both 3 on each side. 3 here, 3 there when you add them up. The only thing that changed is the 1 was in the beginning here, and when you cross over the equals, the 1 is at the end. So they just flip-flop. So when you think about commutative property of addition, think about nothing but addition, and think about numbers flip-flopping, their position. So here, the number 1 was first. Now, on this side of the equal sign, the number 1 is at the end. That's commutative property of addition. Looking at those numbers, which one do you think looks like that? I'll give you a minute or two to think. Is it 1? Well, if I'm looking at 1, it's got multiplication, so that can't be it. If I'm looking at number 2, wait a second. It has all addition, and it looks like the same numbers except they changed their position. So you should write letter A for number 2, because that is commutative property of addition. Now, let's talk about associative property of multiplication. With associative property of multiplication, you are going to see numbers that look like this. You're going to see multiplication signs, but I'm just going to use basic numbers here. 1 times 2 times 3 equals, and this isn't on your page, this is just me using simple numbers. 1 times 2 times 3. All right, I use the same numbers on both sides of the equal sign. 1, 2, and 3. Now, the only thing that changed is where the numbers stayed the same. 1, 2, 3 in that order. 1, 2, 3 in that order. The only thing that changed is where the parentheses are. So, for associative property of multiplication, the parentheses were around the 1 and the 2 first. And then on the other side of the equal sign, the parentheses around the 2 and the 3. So, looking at numbers 1, 3, and 4, which one looks similar to that? Well, there's no parentheses in number 1 in front of the equal sign. So all their parentheses are past the equal sign. Number 3, okay, let's check that one out. Number 3 has 7 times 4 in parentheses times 2 on one side, and then it says 7 times 4 times 2 in parentheses. So it's got to be that one. So you would write for number 3, you would put the letter B. All right, now, the last one we're going to talk about is distributive property of multiplication over addition. So, process of elimination can tell you, just by looking at what's left, we have 2 problems left. Problem 1 and 4. That's what's left. Sorry for the child. She's a little bit on the upset side. This is just Mr. Swaim and Miss Swaim trying to record a lesson, teaching math with all of our kids hanging out with us here on the farm. So, here we go. If I am looking at numbers 1 and 4, I think that those 2 problems look very similar. They have multiplication, and then they have an equal sign, and then they have more multiplication, and they have a lot of parentheses on the other side and some addition. So, process of elimination will tell you that problem 1 and 4, problem 1 and problem 4, sorry y'all, I'm just having a hard time here for a second. They are letter C. Now, let's talk about 5 through 16 very quickly. I had something else planned, but it looks like I'm going to be changing my plans up here. Alright, so 5 through 16, you got to put greater than, less than, or equal to. Whatever's going to make that statement true. So, if you're looking at number 5, it says, in parentheses, 6 plus 3 times 10 is greater than, less than, or equal to 3 times 30. Alright, so let's just think about what's 3 times 30. Well, 3 times 3 is 9, and then add your 0, so that's 90. So, do what's in parentheses first. Remember, at the very beginning of the year, I taught you something called PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. It's called order of operations. So, do what's in parentheses first, get 9, times 10 is 90. So, they have the same thing on both sides, so you would just write equal to there. I think you guys can handle that. I do want to talk to you about number 12. Number 12, that's division on both sides. So if you're looking at number 12 right now in your book, 81 over 9 is dividing, just like 9 next to 81. That's straight up division. Don't let 13 fool you just because they're just showing letters. So it's like an M plus an N is greater than, less than, or equal to N plus M. Throw any numbers that you want. What do you want M to stand for? Again, this is number, sorry guys, 13. I'm talking about 13 here. What do you, pick a number. I'd pick a simple number. If M is the number 1, then it has to be the number 1 over here too. This is a little bit of algebra. If N is 2 over here, then N is 2 over there. So if I was to add that up, that's what's great about when they put letters. In this case, you could just say, oh, well, that means that if 1 plus 2 is 3 on this side, then 1 plus 2 is 3 on that side. So that means that M plus N is equal to N plus M. All right. Now, one more for you here. Sorry if I erased that too quick. I should have grabbed the other board. Mr. Swaim's trying to do his best here. I want to talk to you guys about problem 16. I wanted to give you the whole page to do, but I don't think I'm going to get to do that today. I think you're just going to be doing 1 through 16 is what I'll write on the email. But let's look at 16 real quick, and then we'll be done. It says 12 times 12. I hope you guys know that. By the way, we're going to have a sixes quiz this week. I'll try to remember to write that in the email. 12 times 12, what's that? You should know that that's 144. Now, on the other side, we have a 10 with an exponent. Remember that little bitty number up in the air is a little 2. It can be a little 2, a little 3, whatever number you want to put up there. But you've got to remember what this means. This right here means 10 to the power of 2, or you might would say 10 squared. But what does that mean, Mr. Swaim? Do I add, multiply, divide, or subtract? That means anytime, whatever number this is, you're going to write down the base number, which is 10. Because that's what we have here, 10. And then how many 10s do you need to have all together? So this means 10 times 10. 10 to the power of 2 means 10 times 10, and we know that's 100. Now, here's what it doesn't mean. It does not mean 10 times 2. Do not do 10 times 2. A lot of students like to think, oh, that means 10 times 2. No, it means 10 times 10. So that means I got 100 over here. So if I have 100 on this side and 144 on that side, that means that this side on this, 12 times 12, which is 144, is greater than 100. Now, just for fun, even though this isn't, this doesn't have anything to do, I'm going to make sure y'all can tell. All right, let's just pretend that we had 10 to the power of 3. This is how you would solve that problem. What's 10 times 10 times 10? So don't get confused with these little numbers. That's not 10 times 3. That's 10 times 10 times 10, which would be 1,000. All right, so hopefully this helps. Sorry if the video's a little loud with all that's going on here. But this is page 233. We're still talking equations. I want you to stop at number 16. I already did 16 for you. I want you to stop there. I'm going to teach you another math lesson on the rest of this page, which is 17 through 30, hopefully either today or tomorrow. Appreciate you guys.